How did Mary, the mother of Jesus, truly die? Over 2,000 years have passed, yet one haunting question still lingers. Across history, religion, and even science, did the mother of Jesus Christ truly die? Or did she leave this world in a way so extraordinary, so unexplainable, that no one dared record it plainly? There is no single verse in the Bible that describes Mary's death. There is no grave, no ashes, no confirmed archaeological trace. Only fragments of old stories, ancient writings cast aside from Scripture, and whispered theories long buried in silence. For centuries, scholars, monks, and researchers have pursued the truth. Some believe Mary never truly died. She simply fell asleep, leaving this world in a state of divine peace. Others are convinced she was taken into heaven, body and soul, without undergoing the natural decay of human flesh. But if that's true, why is there no clear record? Why did it take nearly 2,000 years for the Church to declare the Assumption as official dogma? And more importantly, why were the earliest writings about her departure hidden, excluded from the mainstream historical canon? Did we miss something crucial? A mystery so profound, its revelation could shake the foundations of religious understanding? This video takes you on a journey into one of the deepest and most unsolved questions in Christian history. Did Mary die as an ordinary woman? Or was she taken by a miracle the world was never meant to fully understand? Don't be too quick to decide. What you're about to discover might change the way you see everything. Mary, death, sleep, or vanishing? After more than 2 millennia, the death of any ordinary human would leave some trace behind. A grave, a stone marker, a bone fragment, at the very least a line in a historical document. But for Mary, the woman revered in Christianity as sinless, chosen by God to give birth to the Savior, there is no evidence of a typical death. So what really happened? Did she truly die? Or did she simply leave? To approach this mystery, theologians often begin with 2 major doctrines, emerging from 2 distinct Christian traditions, Eastern and Western. 1. The Dormition, the Eastern view. In the Eastern Orthodox tradition, Mary's departure is not called death. Instead, it's called dormition, meaning falling asleep. But this is no poetic euphemism. It carries deep theological meaning. Mary didn't die as humans do. She entered a divine transition between earth and heaven. According to this belief, once her earthly mission was complete, Mary peacefully fell into a holy sleep. And in that very state, both her soul and body were taken up to heaven by angels. This is why there is no grave, no remains, and why all the earliest accounts speak of an assumption, not a death. But here's the catch: dormition is not mentioned anywhere in the canonical Gospels. There is no biblical passage describing the event. The sources for this belief come from non-biblical texts, often labeled apocryphal or even legendary by official church standards. 2. The Assumption, the Western doctrine. In the Roman Catholic Church, representing the Western tradition, the word sleep is avoided. Instead, they proclaim a bold doctrine. Mary was assumed into heaven, body and soul. Remarkably, this belief wasn't made official until 1950, when Pope Pius XII declared it as dogma. That's right. Despite centuries of belief and references from saints and mystics, the Church waited nearly 2 millennia before confirming the Assumption. Why? Because no one truly knows what happened. And that is exactly what makes the mystery surrounding Mary's disappearance so compelling and so haunting. 3. A strange silence in the Scriptures. Here's another oddity. Not a single verse in the New Testament mentions Mary's death. The Bible details the deaths of Jesus, the apostles, and other major figures. But for Mary, the one described as full of grace, silence. This silence opened the door to legends, theories, and forgotten texts. Ancient documents like Transitus Mariae, Liber Requiem Mariae, and De Habitus Domini describe astonishing scenes: angels appearing in radiant light, apostles mysteriously gathered from distant lands, Mary's body taken up in a blaze of glory, while witnesses stood in sacred awe. Some texts even say that Thomas, arriving late, was handed Mary's girdle by angels as proof she had been taken. This relic, believed by many to be real, is still displayed today at the Vedapiti Monastery on Mount Athos, Greece, and remembered in churches from India to Eastern Europe. So, what's the truth? If Mary truly died, why is there no grave, no tomb, no relics, no verified archaeology? Did the ancient texts get it right? Was she taken? Or did she pass away quietly, like many Middle Eastern women of her time, only for her memory to be mythologized over centuries? There's one more possibility, more mysterious, but not impossible. Mary's death, if it happened, was deliberately hidden, perhaps to avoid controversy in the early church, perhaps to protect something sacred that only a few were meant to know. 5. A question without an answer. Whether you believe the Eastern or Western view, whether you see Mary as a religious icon or a historical woman, her departure remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of Christianity. The truth may lie buried in ancient manuscripts, destroyed in wars, or perhaps beyond human understanding entirely. But if Mary was truly assumed into heaven body and soul, then it's more than a miracle. It's a declaration of divine potential, a message that the human body, when pure enough, can transcend mortality itself. And if that's true, it changes everything, how we see death, the afterlife, and the soul's destiny. A holy sleep, a vanishing, or a sacred ascent into the heavens. No one knows for certain, but across the world, from Jerusalem to Ephesus, there are places quietly believed to be where Mary spent her final days. No tombs, but traces. In the next part of our journey, we'll visit these mysterious locations to search for signs that may finally reveal whether Mary ever truly died or was taken away in a way the world still struggles to comprehend. Continuation. Mysterious locations. Jerusalem, Ephesus, and the Forgotten Clues. If the Virgin Mary was assumed into heaven, why do certain places still claim to have been her final earthly home, or even her burial site? For centuries, pilgrims, religious scholars, and even popes have visited two strikingly distant sites, separated by over 1,000 kilometers. Yet both claim Mary lived here. This raises an unsettling question. Could Mary have died in two places at once? Or was the truth fragmented, hidden, and scattered, leaving behind only faint traces? 1. Jerusalem, the tomb without a body. At the foot of the Mount of Olives, just outside Jerusalem's old city, stands an ancient church, the Church of the Dormition. It is here that millions of faithful believe the Virgin Mary fell into her holy sleep before being taken to heaven. Beneath the church lies a crypt, and tradition holds that this was once Mary's tomb. According to Eastern Christian tradition, the apostles, somehow miraculously, gathered from across the world to be with Mary in her final moments. After she slept, they buried her here, accompanied by angelic singing and the scent of heaven. But then, 3 days later, one apostle who had arrived late asked to see her one last time. The tomb was opened, and the body was gone. Only a divine fragrance and a strange light remained. This is a central claim of the Dormition legend. There was indeed a tomb, but no body. Yet modern archaeology has never confirmed the discovery of any bones at the site. No skeletal remains, no DNA evidence, no burial artifacts. An actual tomb, completely empty. The official explanation? The church teaches that Mary was taken up into heaven, body and soul, leaving no earthly remains. But to some researchers, this emptiness might mean something else. Evidence was removed. By whom? When? Why? No one knows. But one curious fact remains. The Church of the Dormition was completely destroyed during the Crusades and later rebuilt. Could vital traces of history have been erased during that time? Or perhaps they never existed at all? 2. Ephesus, the forgotten house on Mount Keressos. Nearly 1,300 kilometers west of Jerusalem lies the ancient Roman city of Ephesus, in what is now Turkey. A major cultural, religious, and trade hub of the Roman Empire, and, according to some, the place where Mary spent her final years. Why Ephesus? According to the Gospel of John, while Jesus was dying on the cross, he entrusted his mother to the care of his closest disciple, John. Tradition holds that after the resurrection, John fled Jerusalem to preach in Asia Minor and brought Mary with him. High on Mount Carrassos, they lived in quiet seclusion, avoiding persecution and chaos in the wake of Jesus' death. There, a small stone house still stands. It was discovered in the 19th century, not through excavation, but through a vision by a German nun, Anna Katharina Emmerich. In her visions, though she had never visited Turkey, she described the landscape, the house, the nearby forest and stream in remarkable detail. Almost a century later, archaeologists followed her descriptions and found the structure precisely as she envisioned it. Deep in the mountains, hidden among the trees. What's more astonishing? When Pope Pius XII received the reports, he officially recognized the site as the House of the Virgin Mary. Since then, popes, including John Paul II and Benedict XVI, have made pilgrimages there. But again, this raises a paradox. If Ephesus is where Mary died, then why is there a tomb in Jerusalem? And if this was truly her final dwelling, why is there no grave, no burial place, no remains of any kind? One theory suggests the angels took her directly from this house, silently. No light, no ceremony, no mourners, just the silent witness of the forest. 3. Unusual signs around the stone house. Beyond legend, locals near Ephesus tell of strange phenomena. Some say that on moonless nights, an unexplainable glow appears over Mount Carrassos, like a radiant halo with no visible source. Hikers have reported seeing a floating light that hovers briefly above the ground, then vanishes into the mist. Others describe a deep sense of peace when approaching the stone house. People unfamiliar with the Virgin Mary nonetheless report a powerful emotional response, sometimes bursting into tears for no reason. Not because of faith, but because of a strange, comforting presence, as if someone were silently embracing them. Is this just emotion or a lingering presence? 4. A troubling question. Is someone hiding the truth? Both Jerusalem and Ephesus claim direct connection to Mary. Both have long-standing traditions. Both have mysterious stories. And both are missing a tomb. No bones. No physical proof. Only belief, memory, and silence. Is this just the natural erosion of time? Or is there something that was intentionally hidden? Some scholars have proposed a bold theory. If Mary's bodily assumption had been openly proclaimed too early, it might have challenged the unique divinity of Jesus. Because if a mortal woman like Mary could be glorified, then is Jesus truly unique? Early church leaders, faced with this theological dilemma, may have chosen silence. No confirmation, no denial, no mention. Let mystery do the hiding. 5. And more worrisome still, the evidence may have been destroyed. We are speaking of the earliest days of Christianity, during Roman occupation, religious persecution, book burnings, imprisonment, and centuries of religious wars. In such an environment, how many texts were destroyed? How many pieces of truth were buried forever? Under sand, ash, or beneath churches rebuilt 1,000 times? If tomorrow, archaeologists were to uncover a female skeleton, matching the timeline, the location, and carrying theological significance, it could shake the foundations of Christian theology. And perhaps that is why many prefer it never happens. An empty tomb in Jerusalem, a secluded stone house in Ephesus. 2 places, 1 story, and a silence that stretches across 2 millennia. So if these places cannot provide the answer, can the lost texts, the apocryphal documents excluded from the Bible, shed light on what happened to Mary? In the next section, we'll dive into the forbidden scriptures, the ancient texts never canonized, those that describe Mary's miraculous disappearance in detail, and explore the controversial reasons why they were never allowed to see the light of day. The testimony of saints and scholars, from ancient manuscripts to declarations that shook history. While the world remains silent about the mysterious disappearance of Mary, voices from saints, early church fathers, and theologians throughout history rose like shattered fragments of a hidden masterpiece. No one witnessed her final moment. No gospel gives a detailed account. Yet saints, those considered closest to God, left behind cryptic and sacred testimonies about her Assumption. Over time, these formed the foundation of a belief shared across the Christian world, one that defies scientific explanation. Mary did not die like the rest of us. She was assumed into heaven body and soul. 1. Saint John of Damascus. The empty tomb is the evidence. In the 8th century, during a famous sermon in Jerusalem, Saint John of Damascus declared a statement that stunned the faithful of his time. The empty tomb is no coincidence. It is the greatest proof of the Assumption. John wasn't just a priest. He was one of the greatest theologians of the Eastern Church and a major influence on Orthodox Christian doctrine. He wrote that when the apostles opened Mary's tomb 3 days after her falling asleep, they found nothing but a strange, fragrant aroma and light. To him, there was only one explanation. Mary had been taken into heaven, much like Elijah or Enoch from the Old Testament, but even more gloriously as the Mother of God. John posed a profound question. If her body had been chosen to carry the Savior of the world, how could it possibly decay like ordinary flesh? 2. Thomas Aquinas. Her body could not see decay. 5 centuries later, another towering intellect of the Church emerged. Thomas Aquinas, the brilliant theologian of the Middle Ages. In his monumental work Summa Theologica, Aquinas didn't directly claim Mary was assumed, but he made this point crystal clear. Mary's body could not undergo corruption because she was free from original sin. For Aquinas, her incorruptibility wasn't simply about being Jesus' mother. It was because she was immaculately conceived, untouched by the stain of original sin. Her body, prepared by God himself, was so pure it could not return to dust. Aquinas laid the theological groundwork for a truth the Church would one day declare openly, but for centuries, it remained a quiet yet powerful belief among the faithful. 3. Pope Pius XII, a bold declaration in 1950. After nearly 2 millennia of whispers, speculation, and tradition, in 1950 the Church finally made it official. Pope Pius XII proclaimed a new dogma, Assumptio Beatae Mariae Virginis, the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary. His declaration stated, "We declare, pronounce, and define it to be a divinely revealed dogma, that the Immaculate Mother of God, the ever-Virgin Mary, having completed the course of her earthly life, was assumed body and soul into heavenly glory. No mention of how she died, no burial site, just a clear, resolute affirmation. Mary is no longer on earth." What made this declaration even more remarkable? It wasn't based on any specific Bible verse, but on sacred tradition, spiritual insight, and the consistent, quiet consensus of the Church across the ages. 4. Ancient imagery, Mary and the goddesses that came before. But here's where the story takes a deeper turn. When scholars of symbolism dug into religious history, they noticed something uncanny. The imagery of Mary, the holy woman, Virgin Mother, radiant and divine, wasn't entirely new. In ancient Egypt, the goddess Isis was worshipped as the mother of Horus, a divine child born without carnal union, representing life, miracles, and maternal power. In Greece, Artemis was the virgin goddess of purity, the moon, and fertility. In Mesopotamia, Inanna, also known as Astarte or Ishtar, symbolized life, death, and resurrection. Statues across the ancient world, spanning Egypt to Asia Minor, show women with outstretched arms, holding children, standing on crescent moons. Imagery later mirrored in Christian art of Mary. And so the questions began to echo. Was Mary not a break from these ancient traditions, but their culmination? Did Christianity, rather than erase the past, refine it, and elevate Mary as the ultimate embodiment of divine femininity? 5. A universal icon beyond Christianity. Today, Mary is venerated far beyond the boundaries of Catholicism. Even in Islam, she is held in the highest regard. In the Quran, she is Maryam, the most honored woman in history. She is praised for her faith, purity, and divine blessing, almost identical to her portrayal in Christianity. This makes Mary one of the rare religious figures revered across faith lines. From Catholics and Orthodox Christians, to Muslims, and even in many indigenous traditions. And all of them believe one thing: Mary is no longer of this world. But no one can say for sure where she went, or how. From the voices of saints to theologians, from ancient symbols to modern doctrine, across centuries and civilizations, one truth emerges again and again. Mary did not leave this world like anyone else. No physical remains, no unified narrative, but an unshakable, mysterious consensus. She vanished, and in that disappearance lies the foundation of a faith that has endured for over 2,000 years. Up next, we dive deeper into the controversies, conspiracies, and possible cover-ups that may have shaped how the world sees Mary's departure. Were there scrolls that were burned? Did someone intentionally erase the truth? Has the real story been hiding in plain sight all along? The answers may lie just ahead. The disappearance, divine revelation, or spiritual black op. No tomb, no ashes, no coffin, only light. After more than 2,000 years of searching, debating, and praying, one haunting question still echoes through the minds of scholars, theologians, and believers alike. Where did Mary really go? We've heard the ancient legends. We've studied the places once believed to be her final home. Saints have proclaimed her assumption, but no one witnessed it firsthand. No physical evidence, no verified relics. Only one undeniable fact remains. She vanished. And in that vanishing, a door opened to theories more extraordinary than anything human logic might dare to imagine. 1. Light and departure, a phenomenon beyond human comprehension. In non-canonical texts, particularly the Liber Requiem Mariae and other writings from the 5th and 6th centuries, there are astonishing descriptions of Mary's final moments in Ephesus. No suffering, no funeral, only a blaze of celestial light, angelic singing from above, and a mysterious wind sweeping over the mountain. One ancient text describes, a stream of light like flame reached her home, and then, as if the wind of God had come, she was taken without a sound. This has led modern theologians to propose a bold hypothesis. Could it have been a transdimensional shift? A physical departure not through death, but through a rupture in the fabric of space and time. They point to similar biblical events. Elijah being taken into heaven by a chariot of fire. Jesus vanishing from the crowd instantly after his resurrection. Both were supernatural occurrences, leaving no trace. So why couldn't the same have happened to Mary? 2. Folk legends, strange testimonies from the locals. Centuries after the ancient texts were written, oral legends continued to circulate in the hills of Ephesus, believed by many to be where Mary once lived in seclusion. Locals spoke of a strange night in August. A brilliant light pierced the forest canopy above a small cottage. Ethereal singing filled the sky, then silence. Only the scent of flowers lingered, and what appeared to be tiny footprints of gold and silver in the dirt. A myth? Maybe, but its echoes match the details from ancient manuscripts. Could these stories be fabricated? Or are they fragments of a collective memory, a spiritual phenomenon so profound that it defied understanding? 3. Unidentified entities, angels, or beings not of this world. Some modern theologians, especially those immersed in mysticism and symbolism, have dared to push beyond traditional interpretations. They ask, what if angels are not simply spiritual figures, but high-energy beings from another dimension? Could their appearance represent interdimensional contact? In this theory, Mary wasn't assumed into heaven by flying upward, but rather transitioned into a non-physical realm, a dimension where the body doesn't decay, and time itself is nonlinear. They compare this to other biblical disappearances. Elijah was taken, not buried. Jesus appeared and vanished post-resurrection. And Mary vanished completely. No bones, no tomb. Some Western symbolists even refer to it as a spiritual extraction operation carried out by a divine intelligence network. Sound far-fetched? Not entirely. In ancient carvings from Egypt, Sumer, and Greece, goddesses are often shown ascending with beams of light or carried away by winged beings that are neither bird nor human. Could these be the early prototypes for what we later called angels? For if Mary didn't die, then who was she? This is where the theories turn unsettling. A few radical thinkers have asked the ultimate question. If Mary didn't die like a normal human, could it be she never fully belonged to this world? Not merely a mortal, not limited to three-dimensional space. A manifestation of something higher, a spiritual emissary in human form, sent to fulfill a divine mission, and then leave. They point to the striking parallels between Mary and Isis, Egypt, Virgin Mother of a divine son, worshipped as the mother of the universe. Sophia, Jewish mysticism, sacred feminine principle, embodiment of divine wisdom. Shekinah, Judaism, the radiant, feminine presence of God, often described as light. So, could Mary have been more than a person? The final embodiment of a transcendent archetype that has appeared in every culture? 5. Divine revelation or deliberate silence. Why has the Church never clarified how Mary died? Why is there no burial site, no relics, no memorial service? Some researchers believe maybe the Church does know the truth, but chose reverent silence, because some truths are too overwhelming for the human mind. This isn't suppression, it's sacred respect, a recognition that language and reason cannot contain the divine. Mary disappeared. No witnesses, no remains, and yet millions believe. Could we be facing one of the greatest spiritual mysteries in human history? Something that transcends religion, logic, even death itself? And if she truly left this world not through death, but through light, then maybe, just maybe, one day she'll return. Faith, mystery, and the final question. We've walked through thousands of years of history, touched faded ancient texts, listened to the voices of saints, believers, and those whose names never made it into the official record. We've followed the trail from Jerusalem to Ephesus, crossed the boundary between reason and faith, between truth and legend. And in the end, we return to the same haunting question. Did Mary truly die? Or was she never meant for the realm of death? Maybe we will never find a definitive answer. No death certificate, no ashes, no farewell, only scattered stories, forgotten writings, strange lights in the night, and faith. Faith without evidence. Faith beyond science. Faith, not because it makes sense, but because humanity longs for something greater than itself. And maybe, just maybe, that is the deepest gift the story of Mary leaves behind. Not historical certainty, not archaeological proof, but a living symbol of a divine mother who doesn't belong to one religion, but to every heart that longs for love, tenderness, and light. So if tomorrow you still find no proof that Mary ever died, that's not a disappointment. That's a reminder. Some things don't need to be proven. They only need to be believed. Mary, the return? If Mary's disappearance is a mystery, then the real question isn't where did she go, but will she return? 1. Apparitions, faint traces of a comeback. For over 2,000 years, visions of Mary have been reported around the world, from remote European villages to humble Latin American towns. In 1917, at Fatima, Portugal, 3 shepherd children claimed to see a woman in white, brighter than the sun. She never said her name, but the faithful knew it was her. At Lourdes, Guadalupe, Akita, Medjugorje, and beyond, countless individuals have reported apparitions, prophecies, and messages from the Holy Mother. While the Church officially recognizes only a few, the belief has spread far beyond its ability to contain. Could it be Mary never truly left? 2. Not just a figure of the past, but a symbol of the future? Some 21st century theologians have begun asking, if Mary represents mercy and divine motherhood, then in today's age of spiritual crisis, is her mission ending or just beginning? Mary's return might not come in visions or celestial lights, but in a collective awakening to compassion, healing, and sacred feminine energy, long buried under centuries of control, domination, and imbalance. 3. Mary, the mother of humanity? Across cultures, Mary is no longer seen only as a Christian figure. She's a global archetype, the merciful mother in Christianity, the radiant goddess in Latin American folklore, the divine embodiment of feminine energy in modern spirituality, the queen of heaven and earth in Western symbolic traditions. Mary is not just someone who once lived. She is a living force. So, will she return? Maybe she never left. Maybe every vision is a signal for those with eyes to see. Maybe in the world's darkest hours, amid war, despair, and chaos, Mary returns not in flesh, but in light. And maybe right now, somewhere quiet, somewhere overlooked, she is already present, not to explain the past, but to guide us toward the future. Because sometimes, return doesn't mean coming back tomorrow. It means already being here, and us not yet awake enough to notice. Do you believe Mary will return? Or do you believe she never truly left? We've just walked through a history that never really closed. Not through textbooks, but through the heartbeat of faith. Maybe the truth will forever remain a mystery, but sometimes it's the unanswered questions that make the spiritual journey more sacred than any destination. You don't have to be a devout believer. You don't have to understand every ancient text. Just place your hand on your heart and ask yourself, did Mary really die? Or was she taken into the heavens in a miraculous light? Share your belief in the comments below. Whether you believe or still question, your voice is part of this collective search for light. If this video moved you, made you wonder, or simply opened a new perspective, like this video, subscribe to our channel, Mary's Message Now. Share this with a friend, a community, or anyone who could use a spark of hope in these uncertain times. Thank you for being part of this journey. We'll return with more stories, mysterious, powerful, and deeply spiritual, in upcoming episodes. Keep the light in your heart. And remember, sometimes, the most sacred thing isn't in the answer, but in the longing to seek. See you next time on Mary's Message Now. Wishing you peace and grace.